This is the Futurist Marketers podcast, where we interview industry experts and growth-minded marketers, helping you rapidly upskill in marketing and become a visionary leader for a better future. Hey friends, episode 3 of the podcast is live. Today our guest is Georgi. He is an all-around growth marketer. He's also building a very cool SaaS called MarketHackr for growth marketers, so definitely check that out. And finally, he's also part of the Growth Syndicate, which is a group of growth experts helping B2B SaaS companies scale their customer acquisition and, more importantly, revenue. Enjoy the podcast. Peace. How's your week?
Good. I'm super surprised how many people actually work during the summer, and it's super weird because I'm balancing like two things at the moment. So it's one being a growth manager, but on the other side, I still need to push out the product that I'm developing, right? So it's a constant switch between tabs and this and that, and I finally passed my thesis, so I am finally free from university as well. So
that's awesome, man. What did you study? What were you studying?
So marketing and entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay. Very relevant. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very relevant. Yeah.
Funny enough, nobody told you how you should do growth marketing. So that's definitely something that I feel like should be added to the curriculum, but not something that is top of mind. And there's another thing that not everybody understands it yet. So that's the reason why there are not lecturers who are most likely willing to give the classes and educate the masses.
The stuff you're learning from university, do you find that it's maybe slightly outdated, or do you find it still relevant today?
Well, just to be fair, like they are trying to be up to date, but at the end of the day, I still study the 4 Ps and everything else. So that was a bit annoying. What they're very, very good at with the whole education in the Netherlands is the fact that they do have this applied sciences type of university, which means that you're going to have more hands-on projects like consultancy type of assignments for other brands. Sometimes you conduct A/B tests, for instance, as well. Happen to do a few of those. But I think one of my favorite projects by far was the one that involved a lot of customer development, and initially you needed to create your own startup. So that was super cool. Super cool.
So it's very, very practical learning. It's not just reading, you have to do this project and...
Exactly, because at the end of the day, that's another topic on its own, but I feel like there are two types of teachers, the ones who had their own business and the ones who just finished bachelor's and they continue to showcase the things that are, in the books from the 80s, 90s, whatsoever. While if you have somebody who was very hands-on and, innovator, things like that, then they make the real impact within the educational system, which I feel like I would like to do as well at some point, simply because I do love to help others and teach others. So why the hell not?
For sure, man, for sure. I need to pronounce your name right. Georgi?
Georgi is fine.
Georgi. No, I want to pronounce it the actual way. How is
Georgi.
it? Georgi.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, so instead of G, it's Georgi.
Yeah.
And you're originally from Belgium?
Bulgaria,
sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. So Bulgaria, and then you're living in Amsterdam right now, right?
Yeah, correct. But before that, I lived for 3 years and a half in Tilburg, which is a way smaller city. And then by the time I jumped into the 4th year of my bachelor's, where I needed to do my internship, and I guess I'll share more later down the line. But then, because I didn't need to be at campus, like offline every day, I just decided to, take the leap and move to the bigger city, start networking more with people, meet inspiring entrepreneurs, if you want to say it like this, and then moving forward with my own journey. Because for these 3 years initially before moving, I realized that there is a lot of value for me to move here, right? So getting closer to all the events, because if not, I should have continued to take trains at 9 p.m. and then it's like 2 hours to my city, and then etc. So I think it was very strategic and practical decision that I'm not regretting by any chance.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely talk about Amsterdam because that's one of the places where I personally feel like comparing it to London, comparing it to, not that I lived in the US, but I feel like Amsterdam, Netherlands in general, they're quite early adapters with everything new. They're quickly to adopt it. Whereas here in the UK, we're very slow. It's like it needs to take time. I mean, even the term user acquisition, that took a while. Growth hacking, that took a while to come to the UK. But in the US and I think most of Europe, those terms were known by people. But for the listeners, give us an overview of what you do, who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much I started my career super unconsciously whenever I was 11, trying to purchase brand new games actually for myself, because I used to be a boy who loves playing games, but then my Eastern European mother said, no, I'm not going to purchase any more games for you. So you need to find a way how to save up money or make money, like name it, in order to buy the brand new PS2 or 3 game, I can't recall at the moment. And then the second thing was initially to register myself in a platform that is like a online marketplace within the Bulgarian market. And there people sell everything from cars to secondhand washing machines. So I just decided to make a simple post saying something like, hey, 3 games, come and buy it for your kid for Christmas, 7 level, which is like €5 almost, or a little bit less. And then I just opened my browser on the next day and I had hundreds of like messages, hey, are the games still there, etc., etc. So I kind of realized there the value of selling online and how to write, what do people want, etc., etc., how to do discounts as well, which was a very, very interesting approach. But further down the line in high school, I happened to create an online fitness coaching business, and I happened to train a few people via Instagram online. Long story short, afterwards, I joined my first startup. Right. So initially what happened was the fact that they were selling interactive punching bags that measured strength, power, intensity, all of these good things. And I helped them to position themselves. And then afterwards, I joined a venture capital company. There I did grow for 1 or 2 companies, which was very fun for me to see also as a young growth professional. And I also helped them to close a few rounds with very cool brands. I think the average ticket size was round size was around 500,000 or something like this, so $500,000 pretty much, right? Which was okay for pre-seed if you take a step back and say, okay, that's very solid round. And then what happened next was the fact that I decided to make my own agency in order to survive. At some point, I just realized that I outgrew the certain pace of the venture fund. Yeah. And next thing afterwards was indeed like the growth agency, where I became a fractional CMO to one super early stage SaaS that unfortunately closed down. There are a lot of learnings there as well that I need to share, including watch out for the policies within your country. So that's number 1. Pay attention to retention, simply because you can continuously focus on traction and acquisition, but at the end of the day, if you don't retain those people and if you don't listen to the feedback that they're giving, or not even reaching out and letting them just dry as their motivation goes down, but also the value that they perceive within you too might not be there yet. So that's the reason why you need, as a founder, as an early stage founder actually, to keep on talking to those people. Like, hey, how do you experience it? Do you have any problems? Perhaps there are not things in the app yet that we can do for you, simply because we need to work on the core features, but maybe you need to tweak it like this. I decided to make the current business that I'm building, which is MarketHackr. Initially, MarketHackr was built to support solo growth marketers within the growth process. So how can they do proper growth in a structured manner while educating the rest of their teams, what stage is there, why they are doing things like that.
Wow, man, that sounds very, I don't know how many times you rehearsed it, but it sounds well organized, and there's so much to unpack there. I don't even know where to start. But I really want to get into the growth and the marketing side. But I'm really a big fan of understanding people's personality and their mindset. And there's an interesting theme that I'm kind of discovering about you, which is you have this innate hunger and curiosity. Growing up in Bulgaria, were you almost forced to be entrepreneurial and hungry?
I was thought that way. My mom and my dad, before having me initially, were having nothing. Like they were in, they used to live in a rented apartment, and it was shared rented apartment. So my dad used to work as hard as he could to get my mom out of there, and then slowly but surely got an apartment that is like purchased, and then with a lot of hard work. So this mindset of really enjoy what you have so far, don't get greedy, always work hard for everything, be honest, be transparent, and always try to help others first.
So yeah, there's this term growth marketing. It's a growing term, and I feel like there's more job postings about growth marketing. There's more content about growth marketing. But what does growth marketing mean in general, and what does it mean to you to be a growth marketer?
A super interesting observation, by the way, because the function has been on the market since 2010 initially. And I feel like it's slowly and truly evolving to the rest of the world. I mean, they are the early adopters of the movement, but initially it just makes sense to do it simply because the world realized that you can work in silos. You need a cross-functional alignment, meaning that you need to communicate with all of your team members in order to know exactly what they observe on the field, what's going on, right? So just to supercharge your own work, you need knowledge from other people in order to have more like higher quality work in that sense. Right. So that was about like the trend. To get back into the question, initially growth for me is when you take a look at the customer journey of your prospects, starting from how do they become aware about who you are and what you do, all the way down until they got activated, they purchase your software, they retain within the subscription that they have, and further down the line also become brand champions and starting to refer others in order to help you grow, simply because they love the product so much. So I kind of hinted the word product, but initially marketing normally would take care of the first two stages, so awareness acquisition, while product normally would look into activation, retention, and referral. And the revenue depends on how your business is set it up. Can be marketing, can be customer success, can be sales, name it. But initially, growth marketing specifically, or generally the term came from growth hacking, which Sean Ellis, which was the founder of the whole movement, positioned to be led by product, but simply because people got caught up into the hacky thingy, they associate growth marketing with always running ads, especially in Europe. I feel like if you say, "Oh, I'm a growth person," cool. What do you do? Oh, yeah, ads, content, name it.
Facebook ads.
Exactly. Well, it's actually way more than that. You should continue to experiment also within your product in order to drive retention. And I think Reforge mentions that, but if you focus on retention, you're 3 times more likely to increase your profitability further down the line. So,
yeah, we'll definitely talk about Reforge and CXL, because those are really good, I guess, educational platforms if you want to get into growth marketing, even leadership. So I guess transitioning from personal training into digital marketing, let's say, was that a conscious decision, or was it like it just happened? It was kind of random. I just fell into it.
Right. There was this 25 years old teacher who sparked my interest in marketing, like how does it work, etc. So I knew from there that I need to study marketing onward, and I want to get involved with that. But on a practical note, simply because I needed people to coach, I decided to start shooting videos for Instagram, and that is already content marketing. Here we have website optimization and SEO. I even tried some ads as well. I didn't know what I'm doing. I just followed what was the guide. but initially started from there, and then I thought, okay, maybe there is something more that I need to learn.
It's funny, like your history is very similar to mine in the sense that I studied music, and you know, it's very difficult to make money with music. With creativity, you know, imagine you're a painter, you know, how can you make money unless someone really, you know, wants to purchase your art? But yeah, I think the best way to learn, I find that whether it's marketing, entrepreneurship, or, you know, you're even building a SaaS now, it's the best way to learn is just get hands-on, make a lot of failures, and we'll get onto that. But I really want to segue into Reforge. What's your experience with Reforge? Did you do I think it's like a yearly plan they have?
Yeah, I purchased a subscription for it, but I wouldn't recommend people to start with Reforge, simply because it's way too advanced. There is knowledge that you need to have for a lot of courses, like activation rate, conversion rate, like all of these things. But also, generally, you need to know, for instance, all of the terms like POG, POS, etc., etc. And it's very term heavy, so definitely not for beginners. To be very fair, I purchased Reforge right now. My journey initially, and that's how I entered the field of growth. I have taken 2 courses with the start budget, and one I purchased because I really wanted to know more about conversion rate optimization, so CRO. But I took the growth hacking course, and then that really opened my eyes. It was way more advanced than any other course that I have taken on LinkedIn Learning, which was initially my first platform that I started learning from. So it was LinkedIn Learning during COVID because I have a free account from university. Then it was Growth Tribe, then it was CXL, then it was Reforge. And I feel like climbing those ladders really helped me to understand the topics in depth, and knowing, okay, I don't think I need to know how to do, like, what are the parts of SEO, like on page, off page, technical, etc. I need to learn like tactics, how to build that, like the skyscraper SEO technique, for instance.
My entrance into growth marketing was actually, obviously I was a generalist digital marketing manager, and then I think I searched for digital marketing courses because I really wanted to upskill and gain certificates, and I saw a Growth Tribe Google search ad. And this was around 2020, 2021. And I remember seeing the term growth hacking. And I was like, oh, wow, that sounds, what the hell is, it sounds so cool, right? So I clicked on it, and then I loved Growth Tribe just in terms of their branding. You know, David, I actually have him on LinkedIn, the founder of Growth Tribe, and I just like the way he approaches teaching, growth mindset, leadership. But yeah, I think those 3 platforms are pretty much primary if you want to get into growth or growth marketing: CXL, Growth Tribe, and Reforge, and we'll link that in the description box below. Yeah, I'm actually looking into joining Reforge probably at the end of the year. I find that the Reforge brand is almost the reward. What you're paying for is like adding it to your, whether that's your LinkedIn title or the certificate. It puts you in a different, if you're, let's say you're a SaaS founder, you see someone like your profile, and you see Reforge, you're like, oh, that's from Brian Balfour and Andrew Chen's kind of educational platform. Let me talk to this guy. You know, so it's almost, you're paying for the brand, which is awesome. But I'm sure it's a great course.
Yeah. But generally, I think such growth loop is so nice because they do multiple things, right? They do share a typical edtech type of growth loop would be the certification one. So you get a certificate with your name on it, and you have the signature of the founders, right? Boom, put it on LinkedIn, share it with your friends. Your friends start saying it. Hey, was it worth it? Yes, definitely. Go ahead and sign up. So that's one super nice growth loop. I think specifically, and that's super funny, like the whole decision-making process behind me joining Reforge, outside of the fact that I wanted, like, very precisely to study growth rather than product marketing, but I can speak about product marketing as well. If you're looking for product marketing courses and people, and generally want to know more about positioning, competitor analysis, which I'm crazy interested in as well. By the way, the whole space with competitive intelligence, because initially before MarketHackr, I wanted to build a tool that supports the function, meaning that you'll get a notification every time whenever your competitors pretty much post something or they get a brand new backlink and you receive it. and you can see it and try to go after the same people, or even like know, okay, they're missing this part of the website.
I want to segue quickly into, because I'm a big fan of upskilling and education, and then we'll move on to more interesting stuff. But
Right.
I know you've done CXL as well, and actually that's the first, I guess, course, or I know they call it the growth marketing mini degree. And, going through those 12 weeks, it was so intense for me. Like you're learning so many different subjects about Google, tag management, conversion tracking, ads. But at the same time, the good thing is because I was still kind of semi-working on my old business, I was able to connect what I was learning to actually applying it. Whereas I feel like now, if you're going to buy a course and you're just passively, going through the course for the sake of it, it's almost as if it's a waste of time. So what's your approach when you're learning something? Do you try and connect it to what you're doing now, or do you just want to learn it so one day I might use it?
Yeah. To be very fair, I used to receive information in the way of I will just study as much as possible and I'll put it in my brain, I'll remember it. So by the time there is a need for such knowledge, it will just come naturally simply because I studied it. So it was not directly related to that specific moment. But then when I started building MarketHackr, I purchased this book called The Lean Product from Dan Olsen. And it's pretty much a guide for early stage brands and pros, how to do validation, and further down the line, how to decide your feature set, like what should be in your MVP, what's an MVP, and all this. So super cool book. And that was...
What's the book called again? Sorry, The Lean Product.
The Lean Product, yeah, by Dan Olsen.
Dan Olsen. Cool.
And super cool. Initially, by the way, this is my favorite book series, the Lean series. There is also this book, Lean Analytics, super cool to study.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So nice, especially if you're having a dedicated business model that you want to study. They do have chapters per business model, including like where you need to focus, how you do growth for it, etc., etc. So that's super great book, as well as I see Traction. I think I mentioned it last time, but Traction is another book of mine that is my favorite.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to talk I want to now segue into more interesting stuff regarding growth marketing and trends. So let's start there. Are there any changes you've seen within growth and growth marketing from, let's say, years ago to now? Have you seen any massive changes, or any tips you'd give the listeners if they were going to do growth marketing? What kind of tools or approaches would you advise?
Yeah, right. So I'll just start with the trends first. I do believe that indeed that there are multiple things right now, because you also have revenue optimization coming in. So there are chief revenue optimizing roles right now, which initially does the pretty much same thing as growth marketing. They just align marketing with sales, with product, with customer success and sales in order to map out the entire funnel. Now it's a little bit different of a funnel. It's called the bow tie funnel, the funnel that they use.
Wow. But these are all, by the way, these are all new terms I've never heard. So yeah, go ahead, man. This is interesting.
Gotcha. Check Pavilion then. They do crazy good work on this. And there is even this book called Revenue Architecture from Jacco. He's a Dutch mastermind initially about revenue optimization and GTM. So that's just something that I feel like enabled the field of growth to become more transparent to more people. Simply because everybody started realizing, silos are not the way to go. You need to communicate with everyone. So that's one thing. A second thing would be, as I mentioned, the hacky part of doing growth. Right now, a lot more people starting to promote that growth is not only, on the awareness side or acquisition side. Because once again, if we take a look at the funnel, the top 2 stages are run by marketing, the rest of the stages by product, and if you combine it, you have growth marketing or growth as a whole.
Right.
So that's another trend, and then a third trend that I can recall on top of my mind is the fact that yes, silos are being reduced, and now people realize that they need to test things in order to identify growth levers for their brands. Which growth levers is initially, for me, how I see it, You experiment with something, you see that it's working, you systemize it. And that was something that not everyone was doing in the past. But initially how I see it is that you have the growth team is ultimately like Columbus. He'll hop on the boat, he'll go explore some random, let's say, islands in order to see if there's some food in there, if there are other civilizations, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And if they manage to put in the settlement, meaning the first foundation, the first house, what they'll do is that they'll invite all of the nation to join the island and occupy it, build a city on top of that. So that's generally the rest of your company. Mm-hmm. And here is, at least in my opinion, I made a LinkedIn post around it as well. You have two types of growth people. You have the Columbus guys, or the explorers, or you have the builders who initially remain within the village while you're building it, and they already build on top of the already established growth levers. So for instance, if paid ads is working for you, cool, they'll start like doing all these A/B tests. So it's a proven playbook initially. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I'm observing.
So I guess it's better to be Columbus then. You get more pay, right?
It depends on the business stage that you're in, though. And I would heavily encourage people to have both.
Right.
Because also then you can stick also to what's working already and improve there. Because just to be very transparent, I think Chris Walker mentioned that you can get to a single channel until 10 million with these. So if you experiment, if you do everything, stay consistent, etc., you can easily get to 10 million. I haven't experienced that yet. I'll let you know afterwards. But
we'll do another episode once you hit the target. I want to talk about growth hacking because I think this was around 2020. The term growth hacking was still kind of rave, it's still growing. And it sounds like a fancy term, whereas now it's growth marketing. From what I'm seeing, even when I'm looking at LinkedIn job postings, you don't really see growth hacker, maybe in some parts of Europe, but at least in the UK and the US, it's either performance marketing or growth marketing. But what is growth hacking, and is it still relevant in 2024 or in the future?
Yeah, whether you're going to name it growth hacking or growth marketing, it's the same thing. The whole problem with the term hacking is because of people use cheap tactics in order to drive growth, and they think this one experiment can drive an increase of 300x, which is not the case. So that's the reason why you don't see a lot of people using it. If they use it, most of the time there will be new entries to the field, or at least that's my hypothesis. Which is also part of the growth process.
I know last time we spoke, we talked about community building. That's a really interesting area. I feel like that is such a great growth lever in 2024 when you talk about retention, revenue, and even referral loops. Community building is such an important aspect for any company. It doesn't matter if you're B2B, B2C, D2C, or whatever, B2B to C, because I know your role at the Growth Syndicate. I guess maybe talk about that and how does it relate to community building?
Right. So at the moment, what is happening with the Growth Syndicate, we do serve clients at the moment primarily just because the brand is, I think, 3 months old, right? So they need a cash flow in order to activate the wing of community. But initially, the whole purpose of it is to gather people with the same mindset, same likings, and the same desire to learn from each other and experiment, which I feel like happened within the Netherlands for a few years and then died simultaneously. So even me as a growth person within the Netherlands, I was like, man, where is this growth community? Why I can't speak and learn from others? Like I need to reach out to others via LinkedIn in order to network, right? But where is initially the community? So this question remained within the heads of the founding team, which initially have, I think in total, 5 exits and 15 international markets. So they're very seasoned growth experts. To be very, very transparent, doing growth is not an easy thing and not everybody understands it. And a lot of people happen to be laid off because of the fact that they cannot showcase the value of their work. And that's the reason why I decided to also solve in a bit of a different way or not fully focus on that problem within MarketHackr, but initially if you use the tool and run all of these experiments, we simply capture everything from the tasks, experiments, and value and the learnings in one simple place where you can pretty much export it and share it with your investors or your C-level management for them to realize, okay, they do something.
I'm kind of in that phase now where I definitely want to build a community, but you mentioned relating it back to Reforge and maybe the Growth Syndicate. Obviously, I don't know the situation. For me, like, community building isn't traditional networking. Like, hey, I shake your hand, I know you, let me add you on LinkedIn. For me, for future marketers at least, I know it's still very young now, but I really want it to be a human connection where it's not just people, oh, I know this guy. It's like, no, I really know this guy, like, as a human being. So, and then, I'm kind of planning out, okay, I guess right now I need to create a wait list. Do I use WhatsApp communities because it's technically free? Slack's great, but it's expensive. And will they really want to have another profile, another Slack profile when they're already using it for work? Will they really switch, right?
Exactly.
And then you mentioned Discord. Discord's really cool, but then at the same time, not every marketer knows what the hell Discord is. And so it's like, basically, long story short, I've decided I'm just going to stick with WhatsApp because there's just more volume of people. So it might evolve. I might evolve it into other platforms like Patreon or Thinkific, but for now, keep it simple,
Yeah, exactly. No, the reason why I decided to go with Discord is because I can enable multiple rooms to happen at the same time. I'm already using it as a Slack, pretty much the same purpose of Slack with my co-founder, because it's free, we can share a lot of files. But most importantly, what I want to do is host sessions for the people exclusively within the community. I don't know when am I going to do this, but at some point I do want to create my own growth podcast to speak with other very seasoned people and really like nerd out on the topic, because I feel like everybody can cover the basics, but by the time you really dive deeper into what's the nitty-gritty of things, I think for me at least it gets more interesting. And it's a very cool strategy because people get to know that you're the experimentation guy. That's at least what I'm trying to do at the moment. And also on the other side, like learn yourself directly from other people, just like I hope you're learning today from me.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm taking notes. I'd love to, it's up to you if you want to do this. I'd love to segue into, maybe you can even do a screen share of what MarketHackr is, like even just the homepage, and maybe just talk about it, because there's a lot of, there's a few head of growth people that are subscribed to the channel. I like that you added UTMs, because if you click on the link from your LinkedIn, I can see that you've got your UTMs.
Exactly.
That's how you know you're a marketer. But yes, so let's talk about MarketHackr real quick. So I'm screen sharing currently. If you're listening, obviously we'll try to make it as informational as possible. But yeah, do you want to talk about briefly what it is?
Yeah, sure. So in essence, we're a experimentation management tool that help you to bring structure to your growth process by enabling you to manage all of your sprints, learning experiments, and to do in one simple place. And I do wanted to create the tool initially because there are so many wrong things with the growth process as a whole, starting from how the heck should I brainstorm ideas, to where to focus, to how to rank them, and the mistakes that people do within the ranking session, which initially is by the time they brainstorm a certain experiment, they already rank it, which is leading you to a certain bias. Okay, this experiment is good, but what you initially need to do, and this is how we made the tool to work, is go stage by stage, really complete all of the tasks that are related to the specific step of the process that you need to execute before moving down the line. Why do we want to do that? Because if you skip a single stage of the process, no matter if it's the ranking stage or if it's the reflection stage, you are pretty much screwing up the entire experimentation program. And to name a few of the problems, they're actually over there, but there is initially a lot of shortage of consistency when it comes to the process. So people happen to shoot in the dark without knowing why and on what they need to experiment. They also skip the documentation part, which happens later down the line to make the life of the company way harder. Now imagine you're being laid off, and there is a new CMO that needs to come in. How the heck would he know what you worked on and why you worked on? if you don't document it, right? So
100%.
now, this is like the most extreme case, but I think something that is a little bit more relevant is the fact that whether you onboard a new person or a freelancer within your team, and that is yet just a tiny bit of the problems that our teams can face. There is also miscommunication, micromanagement, etc., etc. And what we initially want to do is give you a never sleeping growth coach initially that will walk you through the steps. So let's say that you want to start a new sprint. So you sit together with your team, or if you happen to be the sole marketer, just like me within my times at Pitch Drive, what you need to do is simply brainstorm ideas, then click on the next stage, rank them, click on the next stage, really define the experiments that make sense for you to work on, and already create tasks and assign them to your team. Later on, you have a Kanban board. Unfortunately, it's not on the website yet, simply because we are pushing out a brand new update of the software. So we are trying to improve continuously the experience of our folks. And what is pretty much going to happen then is, after you complete all of the tasks for the Kanban board, you can reflect on the sprint. So what went well, what went wrong, and what are the things that you need to do better for the next time in order to keep moving the needle. So that's pretty much what we're building in a nutshell. Happy to share more for the people that want to learn more via LinkedIn. So feel free to shoot me a message or sign up directly to the waiting list so I can reach back and try to walk you through the tool on a one-to-one basis. And some people have a push-off in regards to that, but they really want to meet the people, at least in the very early stage, that really have interest in that, and help them even assess whether this is something for them at this stage or not.
For the listeners, for their context, we actually connected because you messaged me about the tool. I never got back to you. 1 year ago.
1 year ago.
I appreciate the hustle, though. Am I the right fit for this, or will I just waste the CRM space?
No, I mean, it's...
I'll add my email. Just, yeah.
I mean, I can ship you.
You can delete it if it's not the right fit.
No, but it's fine. At the moment, we just want to give it within the hands of as much people as possible. To whom we want to work with is companies that already have a chief of growth, or a person who already have a experimentation program in place, but they're stuck on Notion or Google Sheets. They're losing, they don't know from where they need to continue. The sprints get delayed, etc., etc. So all of these things that help you to that initially prevent you to move to the next stage and level up your experimentation game, we want to speak to them. So that's around Series A type of SaaS.
Yeah, let's segue into your learnings from Building MarketHackr. I guess what does that entail? And at the same time, you mentioned earlier that you have a lot of learnings from being a fractional CMO. So let's maybe do a segment of all your learnings.
Yeah, sure. So I think my biggest learning within the fractional CMO part, I'll just start with this because chronologically it also makes sense. So when I got onboarded, the person didn't know they're targeting. That founder initially didn't know which traction channels to use, what made his product initially way better than the rest, etc., etc. So there are a few things in there. If you're in a very heavily saturated place or a market, initially, if you're playing in a red ocean, make sure to do very good research and competitor analysis in order to know, even before building a single thing, what would help you to get more unique. Like try validating, etc., etc. That thing as well. Because if you can't find a unique angle to approach the market, even within the earlier days, people will always compare you to the already established alternatives, which is something that I struggle with at the moment. Because if you take a step back, yes, in case you need something very scrappy, there are Notion templates, there are ClickUp Monday, Google Sheets, even if you want to use it, etc., etc. But of course, they're not there to guide your team, so you need to already do the workshop on growth. So that's one thing when it comes to MarketHackr, and I can go further into the comparison. But initially, what I'm trying to say is try to find your unique angle to approach the market, because if not, you'll be destroyed from the bigger players. That is it. So that's learning number one. Learning number two would be to work incredibly fast. And that is something that I see within MarketHackr as well. So I'm kind of mixing it up. I'm so sorry for this.
No, please do. Yeah. Hybrid.
Exactly. Yeah. But initially, what you need to do is to work extremely fast, because people value that. And I think I have posted it within my LinkedIn, a few comments of people that are on the waiting list. Wow, you guys work extremely fast. This looks amazing. Da, 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 da. And this also indicates your competitiveness. So if you move fast, you're competitive. I think everybody knows other famous examples of this. Like if you don't move fast, somebody will come and they will take it on the market. Especially if there is like the first mover advantage, which is a concept that is, if you find an untapped market, which is very hardly to find nowadays, you need to work fast because somebody else can take a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
The third and the most important lesson, which funny enough was also mentioned within the course of Reforge on product market fit, so how to establish product market fit, they do share this concept of working both on the traction side and on the retention side of your brands within the earlier days. And you want to do that for two reasons. If you onboard people and they start using your app on day one, but on day two they leave, you simply don't hit the value. So you need to work on the retention game, ask them, okay, what did you like, what did you don't like, why are you not using it, etc., etc. And like I'm doing all of this right now as we speak as well. Although might not be call, might be chat, might be Loom video, etc., etc. So just try to get in contact with your people and speak. So I would say focus on retention, because no matter if you pay like 30 euros for 10 leads or 10 people that already convert from lead to paid in an incredibly fast manner, you can lose them in a day, and you did growth, like you paid for your ads nothing because you lost all of the people. So retention is key. I think that's very important. And then of course, don't be stubborn and in love with your idea.
Oh yeah, that's huge, man. Yeah.
Because what happened was that the founder initially was in love with his idea. He had his mind settled in for a single thing, and when he launched it to the market to test it, what he pretty much did was the fact that he failed simply because he didn't speak with any customers online, and he didn't let his idea evolve over time, which I happened to experience as well. There were people within the first version of MarketHackr, the Figma file, that loved a certain piece of it, but they didn't saw the value, so I needed to change it. And now it's the other way around. Now that I have the core part, they asked me for the first thing that they sold 1 year ago, but it doesn't make sense for us anymore to build. So the idea just needs to evolve, and it will be continuously evolving over the years. Like your vision needs to expand as well, because if you don't have a vision, like long-term vision, you're doomed to fail as well, simply because you reach your ceiling with the current product that you have, and then what? Like you still need to be competitive, right? That's another learning. And then I promise last one would be to keep all of your tech in-house. A reason for this, if you're not a technical person, you better waste time into finding another technical co-founder, or you better pay somebody with equity that is from Fiverr or things like that. But you need to be very aware that they need to love what you do, and they need to be really good with what they do. Simply because the reason why this SaaS failed was because huge amount of money went into outsourced development from a dev agency, and that thing took months to build. While if I look at my current CTO, he builds an entire version of the app from scratch for a week.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
So you really need, and also here is another thing that is generally like a problem of outsourcing your things. Nobody would care as much for your brand as you would, and your co-founder would. So you need really clear guidance. You need to understand that these people would initially need way more guidance, because they're not in your head and they won't care. They're there to get paid. They're not to follow your mission. And same for employee after, I think, number 30 or something like this. But I don't know. Yeah. That's what I heard at least. Cool. And to switch now into MarketHackr, all of these lessons do apply. Most importantly is a learning that I had multiple times. Do not match completely your expectation to a certain title. This is so weird to say, but I happen to speak with multiple people in growth that had growth leader in their LinkedIn. So whatever people are living on LinkedIn does not match the reality 99.9%.
Right.
And
yes, I definitely see that.
Exactly.
The term, this term head of growth, this only came about, I mean, personally speaking, just from knowing the industry maybe 1 or 2 years ago. Like now it's growing. I'm seeing a lot more companies, rather than hire a marketer or a product marketer or a head of sales, a head of growth, someone who can kind of do everything. You know, it's another trend beyond the growth marketing. So some people chase that title rather than actually being good at growth. I want that title.
I think that happens mostly within early stage brands. Depends how you see it, of course. Because normally, if you say I do growth in very early stage brands, and I do say it laughing because I was there literally 1 month ago. Was it 1 month exactly? Yeah, exactly 1 month ago. Like within the SaaS brand that I was working in, I initially did everything from product to marketing to optimizing the sales process and giving advices to organizing events and things like that. And that's growth, but not really, simply because your growth function cannot live in case you already have somebody who can take care of the rest of the things, such as normal day-to-day tasks. I just wanted to back up my finding, right? Because some people might say, okay, he's not like really experiencing it. I do a lot of cold outreach nowadays, and I do experiment with a lot of cold outreach until the point where people say, if you like, please unsubscribe, stop DMing me, I don't understand it. And if they say I don't understand it, then I know I need to fix something for my targeting or try to simplify it. But to get multiple examples on that case, right? LinkedIn does not match the reality. I spoke with a person who is part of a VC fund, and their title said growth within supporting the portfolio to grow, things like that. Marketing, he had a marketing leader, name it. I shipped them the two, and they say, oh, this is also on LinkedIn, by the way. I'm very transparent with what I'm building, and by the way, how it's going. And and I really like that. But pretty much like,
he was a sales guy, wasn't he?
I don't know. No, I think the person was business development type of thing. Because
sales.
The comment was, this is way too marketing / funnel based. I need something to run my company lean. I need something to run companies lean on a business side. And I'm like, what do you mean you need your company to run lean? Like, you can do lean experiments.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's one thing. Then I had head of marketing type of people who speak about growth, but then when I approach them, they don't follow the process. The people mistaking running experiments for hypothesis. So they set a hypothesis, and then within the hypothesis, they already have the experiment. So they already got stuck to this one initial idea. That's the reason why, once again, I need to mention it. But within the two, we divide it, because you will make mistake. You initially rationalize, oh, I know what I need to do, right? So, which might not be the case. So that's second learning, and then things will take time, and I need to remain flexible. We had initial goal to hit 5K MRR in August. Well, things won't be there simply because we still need to fix a lot of things around the core. Like, to be fair, the tool is working. It can solve the problem, but it's just the POC, meaning proof of concept, not an actual product to be out there. But like, things will change, etc., etc. And most importantly, I would say two last learnings: make sure to handle feedback in a proper way. So what does that mean? Try to match patterns. Don't go for single cases. Try to solve people's problem and desires via the thing that you already have, in order to not waste time in dev. Example is, today somebody told me, I want to track everything. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, well, I want to know when
Me too.
But the person was like, okay, Georgi, I want to initially see when my campaign needs to change its setting from minimum spend to maximum spend, let's say, because I will forget. And what I told him was, okay, why don't you just create a subtask? You're already making tasks for the sprint, right? Just put a reminder out there. So in case on the Kanban board, you need to move the tasks from pending, in progress, in review, and then you have completed. So every time before, you can't even continue to reflect on the sprint in case you already moved everything to completed, or until you're very assured that, okay, all of the tasks are completed.
Now, there's really two good points that I gravitated towards. The first one is, I guess when you're building a SaaS or building any form of business, don't fall in love with the idea, because then you get stuck there and you realize actually this isn't working. That happened to me with Soundprice. I was passionate about music, working with artists, songwriting, and it wasn't a good business idea. But because I was so emotionally attached to it, I couldn't quite kill it. So it's don't fall in love with the idea. I would say definitely fall in love with serving your ideal customer persona. Like you said, speak to them, understand what tools are they using, how do they see their specific pain point evolving over the years in the future. And then the second thing you mentioned it earlier, and I love that, which is speed is key, especially now with AI.
Yeah.
If you don't have speed, you will essentially die, right? If you've got ChatGPT, literally a free consultant, if you get stuck on a specific topic or a task, you give ChatGPT or Perplexity, whatever tool you want to use, enough context, and for the most part, it'll get 70% there in terms of what you're looking for. So those are very important keys. And I want to close off, since we're called Futures Marketers, do you have any predictions for the future in terms of growth marketing or in terms of like SaaS specifically?
Interesting. Can I add something to the AI thing? Because
I was going to ask, but I feel like maybe I'm I actually have that as a question, but do you want me to segue into that question?
No worries. But the question was whether we are leveraging AI within MarketHackr, right?
No, I just meant it in general. I think a lot of people still aren't using AI to its maximum capability. They just ask ChatGPT a question, but they never contextualize the question. The prompt is kind of like too simple, etc., etc.
I can answer both, by the way. The three questions initially. So first thing first, and here is another learning, because we already got asked, okay, when are you doing AI integration for MarketHackr? Because I'm way too lazy to write down my hypothesis. I want the hypothesis to generate it. There are ways for you to push back on AI by providing value. So for instance, we have this field where you need to type in your hypothesis. What we did in the past was have nothing. What we have right now is a template. So I believe X needs to happen in such a way. So you are providing value for it. AI, and that's something that Ferdinand, who is the founding partner at the Growth Syndicate, preaches as well. You need to use AI smartly, not for the sake of it. So you use it, for instance, we are going to use it initially within MarketHackr to pull data from your paid ads, let's say, providers. So you make a campaign, we directly pull the data, put it into the spreadsheet, and we tell you what you can improve later for later. But that's like further into the future. Whatsoever, what I'm trying to say is like try to push back on AI simply because people don't understand it, and it should be serving as an added value, but not a requirement for the market, because you don't want to build something based on AI that won't solve the customer need in the roots. And that's why I'm also, me and my co-founder are also pushing back a little bit on AI. I do want to use it, like, believe me, I know if we add it, that will be a game changer. But here is another theory, and here is a trend that my CTO predicts. So to give a little bit of feedback, the guy is crazy smart. He initially...
You can give him a shout out. What's his name, if he's comfortable?
Mikhail Martin.
Mikhail Martin. We can add his LinkedIn for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to Mikhail. What he pretty much do on his day-to-day still, because we both work part-time, is while building MarketHackr, is the fact that he's a DevOps engineer, so he understands like quite a lot of things on the technical manner, more than I can even imagine, which is crazy. And then he has this prediction of the AI token for the API to raise incredibly high prices.
100%. 100%.
So by the time, because he looked at ChatGPT or like OpenAI, how much revenue are they making in order to cover up the cost and cloud computing powers Well, he says it's a matter of time for OpenAI to start monetizing a little bit more. And what does that mean for all of the small startups that use AI just for prompt engineering? Their prices will get ridiculously high, and if that's your core value, then you're screwed up because you need to pay the fat check. And that's
They'll
the reason
die.
why
Let's not sugarcoat it. It's like I'm not going to mention any brands, but there was this tool. It was like a social media scheduling tool that pushed out. Actually, it automated a lot of content creation for Twitter. I think we spoke about this. Elon Musk comes in and like, okay, let's make Twitter, or now X, more profitable. Let's charge for our API, whatever the cost is. And a lot of these companies were complaining on LinkedIn and even on X. Interesting enough, and they all die, right? Because they realize, okay, listen, now it's our SaaS is built on another platform rather than our own. So
yeah, exactly. So that's my prediction. And of course, another prediction that comes in with this is generally that SaaS will get I think it will get almost a mandatory thing to get AI within your product. And that's something that a lot of people say, and I do know it because when I showcase the product, the first reaction was like, oh, and you can do this with AI and that with AI. And I'm like, okay, but you still need to follow the structure of the process. Like, I can automate it as much as possible, but you still need to learn how to do proper growth, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, you still need to understand the core value of the product. And then there was a third one. How am I using AI, right?
Yes. So do you currently use AI? And if so, how do you use it?
Right. I use the platform that I mentioned, which is luna.ai. Initially serves like Tinder for SDRs. Initially that were their value proposition a long time ago. But they do scrape everything on LinkedIn and via Apollo, and then based on the algorithm that you train your AI SDR or the Tinder for SDRs, name it, they'll give you like the profiles, and then you can go and connect on LinkedIn or create sequences, etc., etc. So that's one of the two that I use. Of course, like I use ChatGPT to be very fair, and that's something that the educational system very much needs to adopt. Like, I write my thesis with the help of AI, simplified to like not write my entire thing, So don't get me wrong, I hope my university does not see this.
Don't worry, we can edit this bit.
But initially, like, I use it to optimize my grammar, give me examples and all this. It's very powerful for keyword research, for instance, or if you're a very early stage startup and make your own brain. I can give you a link to a very cool custom GPT that initially is a library of 2,500 GTM leaders, and I got it from Koen, who is the GTM lead of Personio. So shout out to Personio. Super interesting case. The fact that they share this custom GPT based on the 2,500 most known GTM leaders and sales leaders, RevOps leaders, whatever, and to a single ChatGPT model, and you can pretty much use it for yourself. So there are a lot of these cool implementations. Of course, like, I use it from time to time for content, but not as crazy as I know a few people. If you really want to speak about ChatGPT and marketing, you should speak to Dawe. So the name of the guy that you want to speak to when it comes to AI and marketing is Dawe Wester. He's a fractional CMO himself. Super knowledgeable guy.
You can add his LinkedIn on this chat, and then I can add it to the show notes.
Yeah, awesome. So what he pretty much did is the same thing, like playbooks, guides on how to use ChatGPT. And if you invite him to the podcast, I'm 100% going to listen to the episode, because there are a lot of things that I can listen to from him. The question that he asked me whenever we started like networking was, how often do you dedicate time to educate yourself on how to use ChatGPT? And I just left the call speechless. I didn't know what to say, because I didn't dedicate enough time to it. And I feel like that's the majority of the people. We just want to consume it rather than, building it properly. It definitely has the value in it. You need to be descriptive. You need to put like, did you understand me at the end of the sentences, like in order to treat the AI to store actually all of the information before giving you large chunks of text. I use it quite a lot actually for one of my favorite experiments. We haven't spoken about that, but what I initially wanted to do is make a collaborative article with 30 affiliate marketing experts, and that was during the time when I led growth for that affiliate marketing software called Radius. And initially what I did was the fact that I reached out to a lot of people with a simple form, 2 questions inside, 30 seconds to fill in. What would you advise B2B SaaS founders on how to manage their affiliates? What would you advise B2B SaaS founders in order to activate their affiliates? So they leave their answer within the form. I take it, I put it into a simple content piece, put a little bit of ChatGPT in it in order to expand it, or in order to make the SEO optimized structure of the article. And just like that, if you switch also the content medium to LinkedIn articles, which is something that I personally experiment with at the moment, we got first position for organic keyword. B2B SaaS affiliates, I think that was it. So super cool experiment, and that generated a few leads as well.
That's awesome, man. Appreciate you joining the podcast. Long session, but I feel like I've learned a ton. I feel like it's a masterclass. We could probably charge for this whole podcast, but we'll publish it for free. But where can people find more about you, and anything you want? Any closing statements?
Yeah. So if you want to speak to me, I'm easily accessible, reachable, whatever, via LinkedIn. I hate doing email communication. I know why. Maybe it's a Gen Z type of thing, but I really prefer to schedule a non-formal call just like this. So face to face, then you showcase who you really are and what you stand for, etc., etc. But definitely LinkedIn. And in case MarketHackr seemed to be interesting, once again, feel free to sign up to the waiting list. We are launching the MVP in September, so huge announcement here. And I hope that can help you to bring better structure within your experimentation program. And one last thing about the process as a whole: if you happen to experiment, it is proven by McKinsey that 80% you dominate like 80% of the market.
Again, thank you for joining, Georgi. Till next time, man.
Till next time.